I've moved into the U.S. And in Maine about 11 years ago, and basically the first question that members of my community asked me which tribe, I belong to, and when I mentioned, so I fell into that category. So there's a deeper tribal rivalry going on in the community, much larger than anybody can actually imagine. And then interestingly enough, even though I spoke very good English, one of the things that I was told to do is go find a discounted housing section 8, which I didn't know what actually it was, and sign up for all the other community benefits within the government or the state. And my response was, I'm actually here to work and build, basic and become part of the American fabric, which is pretty much what I've been working on for a while.
I'm incredibly fascinated by what you're having to say, so much so that I'm sorry to interrupt, but I just want to clarify. So when you felt that pressure and you were told to go join, public welfare programs once you moved here, where was that pressure coming from? Are you saying it's like cultural, like neighborhood, like neighbors telling you this is what you should do? How were you pushed in that direction?
Well, it was coming from the community that actually thought that was just a way of life, right? I instead of being asked about what kind of school I want to go to, what subjects I would love to study, and those interesting conversations weren't there at all. And my response was, can we do better things? Can we as a community actually integrate? And let's listen to that word, interestingly, because that had got me a huge backlash. This is many years ago that many people thought, no, let's not talk about integration. And I wasn't ready for that. I wasn't ready for a pushback against this idea of sort of melting into America, becoming part of America. And
right.
Let's just be very clear that I haven't arrived here as a young man. I mean, I came here at age 29, so I was well informed about my culture and my community growing up in the civil war in Somalia.
Incredibly.
It's getting really interesting, Here we see a Somalian snitching on their community. This is a Somalian who knows the planned intent of the Somalians, and he came out to expose it on Fox News. By the way, I give credit to Fox News for using their content. Yeah. He was advised to follow in their ways, but he categorically said no. I don't want freebies. I want to work for my money. I want to get a job. I want to live a better life. Anyways, let's dive into the videos I've compiled for you all. As always, credit belongs to all the original contents I have used in this channel today. Don't go anywhere. I'll be right back.
There are certain clans that are disqualified ever running for president in Somalia. I just want the audience to know that.
Is that constitutionally or culturally?
Both.
Okay.
Culturally and constitutionally. The Somali Bantus, for example, who are in Maine, they're disqualified and not ever, as we have the constitution we have right now, not able to run for president.
Firstly, before we get to why the Somali community is having beef with him, let's first analyze what he just said. He's right. The reality is this: 4.5 system runs the Somali culture and the Somali politics. 4 representing the 4 clans, and the 0.5 is the minor clans, right? So this political system is a power sharing system. Yes, and the 0.5 is the minority clans, which includes the Jareruens. Just like that. You know what that just means? That means they can only have half of power of majority clans could have, right? In the parliament seats, they can only have half of it. So this system by its nature is very discriminative. It's not equal opportunity. That's the reality, culturally, politically. Now, why do the Somali communities having a beef with him? It's one thing to share factual information about the Somali community, even if the truth is not easy to say or flattering, especially when larger audiences are listening. Okay? Somalis, if you feel like he's being too biased and being blatantly only negative towards the Somali community, cool. Call that out with factual information, right? Tackle his argument. But instead, what are we doing? We're just throwing names and labels. Hello, and calling it at that. Let's not do that. We gotta be better than that. Appreciate that.
Ladies and gentlemen, brace yourself, because what just detonated out of Minnesota in the last 72 hours is not a scandal. It is a government-shaking, career-ending, internationally watched explosion that no one, especially Tim Walz, was prepared for. And tonight, I'm going to walk you through every single piece of this political bomb that now has splattered across the national stage. And for the first time in modern U.S. history, over 480 state employees, not anonymous sources, not some political opponents, but actual Minnesota government workers, have publicly accused their own sitting governor of hiding, enabling, and protecting a billion-dollar fraud scheme with tentacles that are stretching all the way to Somalia. And according to some new reporting, possibly even into these terror-linked networks that federal investigators are now quietly analyzing. This is no longer just a fraud case, guys. This is a national security emergency unfolding right here at home. And the moment Tim Walz was confronted about it on live television, he broke. He cracked. He collapsed in real time, blaming Trump, blaming prosperity, blaming pretty much everything except the one thing that mattered: his own administration's failures. So tonight, President Trump's DOJ is watching, federal prosecutors are watching, and millions of Americans are watching the same question explode across the country. How did Minnesota become a billion-dollar cash pipeline, and why was Tim Walz fighting harder to silence the whistleblowers than the criminals? Let's get into it, guys. Hit the like button and subscribe. Let's start with the blast that cracked this entire scandal open, because when over 480 Minnesota state employees, not some activists, not some politicians, but actual workers inside of Walz's own Department of Human Services stood up and publicly accused their governor of facilitating fraud, that alone would have been historic. But what happened next is what turned this into a political nuclear event. Their statement didn't go viral. It went thermonuclear, tens of millions of views in hours, spreading across Minnesota, across all 50 states, and straight into Washington, D.C. They said Walz didn't just ignore fraud. He built the environment that allowed it. He shielded the people doing it, and he retaliated against anyone who tried to expose it. Now, think about it. Why would you do all of those things? As a governor, why would you block all of those investigations? Are those the acts of a guilty man? Drop a guilty if you think Tim Walz was in on it. Now, this wasn't a complaint. This was a public mutiny against their own governor. Now, if you think Tim Walz is innocent, drop an innocent down below. And so once you have that many insiders revolt all at once, something is deeply, catastrophically wrong. Now, let's take this a little bit deeper, because the whistleblower revolt, this wasn't just one program or one rogue nonprofit. This is about an entire fraud architecture that's operating under Tim Walz's watch. We're talking about the now infamous Feeding Our Future scandal.
Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. As we all know, a lot of news have come out to say how the Somalian community in the United States have siphoned billions of funds, in order to fund businesses that are not in existence. It's shocking, really. And how come the great America is just discovering this now? Like, really? I'm just wondering, though. Don't they investigate, do their own investigations before funds are released? Is there no plan for accountability? I just wonder, really, because these are taxpayers' monies. This is not little money, like it's in billions. And every year, monies are being signed for those businesses that are not in existence. And no one is checking, no one is doing nothing. I think there's more to this story. Anyways, thank you guys for coming with me on my channel today. And if you're just discovering this channel, kindly subscribe to my channel. Thank you so much. And to my returning subscribers, thank you so much. You guys are the real MVPs. And as always, I do not take credit for any video I have used today. Credit belongs to the original creators of these videos I have used on this channel today. Thank you guys, and have an amazing day. Bye.